having problems, but I'm surprised.
Yeah. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. We are live, but it's on me. It's on me. Nobody's seeing you having breakfast. That's fine. Hello there, everybody. We are going to get started in time. We've had a couple of technical issues in getting the show up and running, as I can tell by the fact that I've just frozen up on my screen. Okay, when I freeze up on my screen, I know there's a problem. So we're getting there. We're working our way through. So we're going to start, but we're going to start a little bit later than usual. So bear with us. Other than that, welcome along. Thank you very much indeed to all of the kind words for sharing the Hangout. And what happened to the countdown, says Andrew. That's part of the technical issue, but also generally, yeah, it's all sorts of things that have added up today. It just kind of, it doesn't help. Things we're going to talk about today, we are going to talk about all the ComicCon International, which has been quite a bit this week, in terms of WonderCon Anaheim, a couple of Eisner announcements, the souvenir book, a whole, but they're hiring huge.
Oh, well.
What? So it's almost as if they're like, okay, there's a whole bunch of people who've just gone, nah, you lot smell, we're going. And there's a whole bunch of positions that have opened up. So we're going to talk about those. We are going to do our sequel show, which is off the back of last week's, which was all about Comic-Con Fit. Last week was more about what goes into the body. This week is about the body, I suppose. Jeffrey Mueller is having a couple of technical issues, certainly for logging in. We'll try and get that sorted. Tell you what, if I do the kind of like introduction, can you kind of speak to Jeff, Alyssa?
I am working.
What are you doing?
Well, I was going to try and get my headphones because I'm hearing a little bit of an echo.
That might be me. That might be.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can solve that with a bit of. There you go. Right. Okay. In that case, we shall. I will dive in, and certainly I'll do the bits and pieces to welcome everyone along. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. As always, this is Talking Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name is Leonard Sultana. There's my cup with nothing in it. Because I had a chance. I've got a cup. I
got a tea bag. It's like, listen, look, actual tea bag in here.
I mean, I've got some blackcurrant squash nearby, but that requires me to get some water.
Yeah, that's a little strong. My God.
Yeah, I'm not filling the cup from here. Anywho, it is the 28th of January. It's remarkably close now to things like Hotel Apocalypse. I'm certain people are getting their bits and pieces in place for San Diego, but certainly if you're getting in place for WonderCon, you'll have had the word this week about housing, which has opened. So the hotel rooms are now available. If you do head to comic-con.org/WCA/hotels, all the information is there so far. As far as I'm aware, all the hotels are still available. That's what I did. I checked last time I had a look. Let's go onto the site now and just have a quick peek. But basically a number of hotels near the convention center with special room rates. Now, if you've been to the Anaheim Convention Center, that you know that the hotels are incredibly close to the center, either within a short walk to downtown Disney and Disneyland, just basically really nicely contained. As far as I'm aware, yeah, let's have a look at this. The cutoff date for the reservation is Friday, the 2nd of March. And like I say, as far as I'm aware, the rooms are still available. If you bear with me a second.
Actually, can you tell me, this is on my list of things that I need to know. When is the refund deadline? When?
Let's have a look.
for WonderCon
the deposit is refundable if the reservation is cancelled before February the 16th, which is the Friday, so in about 3 weeks' time.
Okay, 2 weeks. Yeah, somewhere in there. Okay.
So, yeah.
They didn't open WonderCon hotels, just to go on about that, didn't open this past week. They sent out a reminder. They've been open for a while now.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
No, as somebody who's not going, I haven't signed up for the WonderCon stuff. So, yeah, it was this week when they put the announcement up on their Twitter that those were open. Okay, so let's have a quick look. I mean, you're looking at like the prime spots, which are Anaheim, Marriott, and Hilton. Anaheim, the Marriott is clocking in at $225 a night. The Hilton up to 5 rooms available, so we're getting close. We're getting close, and that's clocking at $195. Go on, you're saying?
Yeah, the Hilton is usually the place that people are going this time. It's kind of an older hotel. It needs updated massively, in my opinion. I stayed there last year, but it's like I said, it's a nice hotel, and that's where the majority of people are staying. People are really surprised that the Marriott is so much more expensive than the Hilton. The Marriott does do a really nice all-you-can-eat buffet dinner, though, so you can get food immediately within the walking distance of the hotel. Yes, because it's all about the food. Sorry.
Of course. No, absolutely. I understand and appreciate that.
So I don't know. I'm gonna, if I do end up going to it, I'm gonna be staying at the Clariton. I think their hotel rates are about $120 a night. Is that correct, Leonard?
Let's have a look. The this is the Clarion Hotel.
Yeah.
Anaheim Resort. It's $148 per night. Is that particular venue?
They do have. I don't know if they still have them available. They have They had suites with 2 doubles and or queens and a rollout couch, so you could technically fit 6 people in there. Plus, I think they had free parking. So
I think anyone who's experienced enough in Comic-Con hotels, we can squeeze them in anywhere.
Oh yeah,
top of wardrobes, underneath the bed. I
was talking legitimately.
Fair enough.
Still working on getting Jeff to join us on that. He's having some problems. He's rebooting his computer right now.
Okay. Well, we've still got time to talk about some other stuff. Like I say, the other announcements that came from Comic-Con this week, like I say, positions that are currently being opened, actually, at Comic-Con International. One which is more on the creative side, which we'll get back to in a second because it kind of leads through. But there's certainly 3 positions on their tech team for PHP software engineer and developer, Visual Studio programmer, and or cloud infrastructure engineer and dev positions. These are all being handled by Indeed.com, which is the recruiting site that they've decided to go for. So if you are technically minded and if you're up for moving to San Diego, because it is an on-site and yearly setup. So yeah, that's possibly an option for you. But certainly on the creative side, they're also looking for an editor for their print and digital media and programming. This is for their websites. This is for all of their site branding. But they're also looking for people, certainly when it comes to the souvenir books and all of the publications that Comic-Con put out. So they're looking for proofreaders, editors, style guides, that kind of thing. That is also available on Indeed.com. If you basically search for Comic-Con International under the San Diego, California heading. Admittedly, it is requiring a degree, associate, bachelor, or master's level. So they are looking for some very experienced people, but they're looking basically for year-round proofers, editors, and also editing for their print and digital media department. So do check that out if that's something that appeals. Speaking of which, when it comes to the publications, the souvenir book, which is always a must-grab piece of Comic-Con swag, is basically looking for submissions for this year's book. They had an incredible book based around Jack Kirby last year, so obviously it's quite a high bar to clear. All about the as always. So they are celebrating. Let's have a look. The 200th anniversary of Frankenstein is the top of the shop on the list. In fact, let me just do a screen share. Why on earth not? At least then people can have a look. So yeah, we're looking at the 200th anniversary of Frankenstein, which is going to be celebrated, obviously, with Comic-Con celebrating everything in pop culture. It is the big story when it comes to AI, when it comes to the creation of a sentient being, and it is very timely in 2018. So that's a bit of a thing. 25th anniversary of Hellboy, more for the comics there. So obviously you're going to get a lot of celebrations. I can imagine that Guillermo del Toro might actually type something up, because he is the kind of guy that would put something in, I suspect, for the book, and CCI obviously will take that. 25th anniversary of Vertigo Comics. So everything from Swamp Thing, Sandman, Preacher, Lucifer. It really has been the cutting edge for DC's output over the years. Came close to getting closed down in the last couple of years, but it's seen a bit of a resurgence. Yeah, a bit of a big anniversary for DC there. 25th anniversary of the X-Files. I think we can imagine there may be a panel announced as well. Obviously, the new season is up and running as we speak. And the 10th anniversary of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I can imagine will be celebrated in Hall H with Mr. Feige. Yeah, that's going to be something. But those are the things that you can submit for. You can find the link under comic-con.org/CCI/souvenir-book. The deadline for submission is April the 13th, so about a month and a bit to get your art and your text in. I keep threatening. I really do keep threatening to put something in. But yeah, it's a case of putting something of quality in there. So yeah, there we go.
Speaking of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that's also going to be the theme for San Diego Comic Fest. They're doing a big thing, which I'm looking forward to. I'm really hoping that I'm able to get to that this year. They have last year, I believe, Erin did a thing, a live report for us from San Diego Comic Fest with the Jack Kirby drink lounge. So I can only imagine what the Frankenstein drink lounge is going to be like this year. I'm
there's going to be a lot of that dry ice stuff. It's just going to be all of that dry ice.
I'm really looking forward to it. Tickets are, speaking of that, tickets are still available. That's April 20th through the 22nd. Like I said, I hope to be doing a live report from that myself on it. I am hoping, are we going to be able to get Matt, the prolific Facebook poster, Matt Dunn, I think is his last name?
I hope so. That's yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. That's just put that on the list there. And I am happy to see that we have Jeff joining us. He's figured out the technical. Yay!
Yay, technology. Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. How you guys doing?
Did you do the high-tech element of just hitting it slightly from the side?
Well, I mean, kind of.
That's how I fix
my desk.
Yeah, that's how I fix all things. Hit it with an hammer. Yeah, it usually works.
And maybe that's why you don't have a tech job with San Diego Comic-Con.
And a working computer. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
We're working on that.
Welcome along, Jeff. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's been a while, sir. How you been keeping?
It has been a while. It's been a while since I've had your voice in my ears, and I love it. I love it, man. Things are good. Things are good. Can't really complain. I mean, it's cold, but other than that,
yeah. I mean, I've been watching your developing acting career with much interest. It's been great to see those productions getting a bit of fruition. So that's been cool. But how's things been going with the Mighty Jerd? Is that something that has taken a step back a bit, or is it something that you've still been keeping up and maintaining?
It has been something I've been keeping up and maintaining on the back end, really. Haven't been writing as much. Been doing more private consultations with longtime readers of the site, as well as doing the Geek Fitness Matters podcast semi-regularly, once a month has been what we've been targeting, and answering community questions that way. I just find it's a easier way to get to a lot of people and answer a lot of questions in a shorter amount of time.
Fair enough. Is it turned more into kind of like an almost one-on-one?
It has right now, just due to time constraints. I'm a little bit too much of a perfectionist to just throw articles up. They take me quite a long time to write and find the proper images for, and edit and re-edit and re-edit. So yeah, the one-on-one stuff has been a little bit easier for me to handle lately, but who knows? I might go back to writing regularly sometimes in the near future, not ruling it out.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, what we were hoping to speak to you today about is, I mean, last week we talked to Aaron about the fuel, as it were, right, for the engine. But now it's a case of actually having the engine in tip-top condition. So this is where I now hand it over to both Alyssa and to Jeff, not only to talk about last week's show, but also, yes, about what we can do to be more Comic-Con fit.
Well, if I'll take that on, but just give me half a second. So are you still working in software, Jeff? Or
I am.
Okay, because it seems like I hear a lot about your acting career.
Well, I try not to talk about my day job because it's my day job and it's boring.
Okay. I understand. I'm just wondering, if how you're managing to fit in your acting, your day job, your family, and
I don't know.
Fitness.
I think my superpower is I bend space and time just subconsciously, because I don't know how I have that many hours in the day, but I make it work.
Okay. So you are and let me get this straight. You are a jiu-jitsu how I forget what belt rank you are, or are you black?
No, I'm white. But that's kind of a racist question. I don't know.
That would be Alyssa walking full tilt into that one.
So no, I've been doing martial arts my whole life. I've been doing martial arts my whole life. I have black belts in several systems, but right now I've been focusing on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Been doing that for about 9 years. I am not a black belt yet in that, but yeah, I do spend a lot of time on the mats doing Jiu-Jitsu still. It's my primary fitness source of fitness, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and so you've got the cred to back up what you're talking to us about.
I like to think so. I like to think I do.
You do, absolutely. And you also are doing a podcast on what. Could you just give people an idea about what your podcast is about?
Sure. So it's the Geek Fitness Matters podcast. It's myself and Ryan Day, who's Felicia Day's brother. I don't know if you're familiar with her. So
name dropper.
Some people aren't. So he and I get together every month. He's a big fitness buff, also jiu-jitsu guy. He does a lot of Twitch streaming. So that's kind of his niche. So we get together and we talk geek fitness. We take some questions from our listeners. We tend to answer them in a very verbose manner. We goof around a lot, talk a lot of trash to each other, and try and clock in at about an hour every episode. But for the most part, it's just an excuse for him and I to get together and chit chat about what's going on in the world of fitness. We tend to promote a different product that we like, whether it's a book or an app or a website, every episode, to just kind of throw stuff out there to the community and hopefully help people find something that resonates with them.
Right, right. There was actually, speaking of books, there was an interesting book that I saw recently that was put out by two economists on fitness.
Mm.
I'll get the name in a few minutes. I've got to deal with a sign-in problem. Yeah, because we all have those sign-in problems. You know, not to harken back to Hawaii and the problem they had with sign-ins and emergency management systems. But one of the things they said was that they weigh themselves every day. Do you weigh yourself every day, or
Oh, hell no.
are you that concerned about it?
No, in
Yeah,
fact, I recommend people don't weigh themselves every day.
Yeah.
I don't like that because the body fluctuates a lot based on simple, small things such as water intake, salt intake, you know, just if you're a woman, your natural cycles, water retention, everything else. Like, so it fluctuates so much that I feel that can almost cause a lot of undue stress unless you're being really cognizant of the fact that it's trends you need to focus on, not the daily numbers. You know, as long as you are tracking in a certain direction, that's fine. But if people are weighing themselves, I tend to recommend once a week personally. But I don't even like weighing as a measurement. I like body measurements much better. I think they're much more indicative of progress than a number on the scale.
It's one of the things that I certainly have noticed is that the more fit you are, the more you weigh.
Yeah.
And because muscles take up more. So a lot of times I would, you know, in my past, I've been very lean and very muscular, and yet they say I'm obese. So I think that's the extreme example of the problem. But I totally get where you're talking about with regards to natural cycles and food intake messing with the scale. For example, and this is a segue. For example, it's my recipe that I included last week, which was the Brussels sprouts and flowers and cauliflower with a lot of cheese in it. Tends to be more of a retention thing versus something like Mark's, Chuck's Ask Garden, the salad, which tends to go through your system quite a bit. And that would affect the weight aspect. So I'm not quite sure how we want to go into all of this. Leonard, I'm going to ask everybody's actual advice here. I put out a tweet with some prizes on it earlier. I hope everybody has had a chance to look that up. I didn't assign a particular prize group to a particular winner. Should we let them choose, or should we assign a prize group? What do you think, Leonard?
I think it should be down to you. I don't think you can palm this off on an audience. I think this should be down. I think this should be down to you. I think. Because we had some incredible recipes. We kind of went into quite some detail, going through all the various elements of the recipes. Certainly the elements including the creativity of the names and the use of color and just the way that it was presented. I thought that some fantastic recipes, but also just the way that they were, the thought that had been put in. To the way to using the ingredients that Alyssa had put forward. So yeah, I'm afraid on this one you can't just palm it off on the audience.
Okay, so I will work on assigning them. Leonard, I did post them in that thread on the forum, and I will get you that link.
Sure. I think I've got it to hand, but let me see if I can pull it up again. If you've got anything more specific, let me know.
Okay, I will.
I shall do screen shares. Oh, your forum can't be found. That's interesting.
Huh. That's odd. I don't know about that one.
This site is under construction.
Well, while you guys are trying to figure that nonsense out, I just want to say something right here. Leonard, I'm jealous of your backdrop. I feel inferior.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? This is 2 roller blinds, and you've got lots of stuff, and I want stuff. I want lots of stuff. Just generally.
Leonard was even saying he wanted to steal one of the prize packages, but he didn't make a submission. So there you go. I sent you that link on Facebook.
Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. So Jeff, let's just start going through some of the recipes. I think the most interesting thing to me was once I assigned a caloric value to each recipe and for the portion, it was very surprising that the salad, Chuck Cook's Asgardian salad, was not the least caloric. Did not have, it was not, although it may be the most healthy and bang for the buck, but with the amount of dressing that he put on,
to be honest with you, the moment I saw the ingredients, I knew it was going to be a slightly higher calorie, strictly because salad dressing is, even though he did his own salad dressing there, there's a lot of oil in it. And then the almonds, nuts are extremely, calorie dense. So not surprising at all.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be to the lay person who hasn't gone through and done the calorie. There was another suggestion that we had by another one of our watchers to Erins Comic-Con Fit, who was suggesting a nut loaf as opposed to a meat loaf. And they used 2 cups of chopped nuts, which I was like, substitute half of that for tofu, crumbled tofu or something,
High calorie foods, as long as they're quality calories, are not necessarily a problem if you eat a smaller portion of it. I'm very torn on the calorie subject because quality of calories is just as important as number of calories.
So I totally agree with you. And with that caveat, let me just go through and formally announce, should we do it from the bottom? The highest calorie food, which is the one that I was most interested in, was Miss Kitty. She did a fried tofu with a peanut sauce bok choy over rice.
Looks so good.
Yes, that was the one. That was the one, because you can play with that one. That recipe and Violet's recipe, which was the green and white. What's green and white? Which was chicken over rice, chicken and coconut milk over rice and kale. Both of those recipes are essentially the same thing. They're a protein and a vegetable, treated a little bit differently. Yeah. But they're essentially the same components. So you can mix and match those types of things, like tofu in coconut milk, for example.
Sure.
And work on getting the calories. Anyway, so Miss Kitty's was the least. The next thing we had was Chuck's Asgardian salad with 622 calories. Miss Kitty's had 760. Erins Pasta, which we all agree was the most hearty and had the most room for playing with. I mean, that was the recipe that you had said that you were most likely to adjust and try.
Yeah, there's a lot of ingredients in that, and I find that Brussels sprouts are the goddamn devil. So I would, I would swap those out personally, but it looked fantastic. Other than that, horrible inclusion.
Well, I was going with the sun-dried tomatoes. Those were my horrible inclusion, but I was just like, no.
You are talking about 2 of my favorite ingredients.
You're British. Your tastes don't count.
Oh wow. Bold statements there.
Does the audience want to chime in here? Let's see. Chuck Cook goes back to speaking about his recipe, but the devil for me with Erins pasta recipe, the problem that I found was the just the amount of pasta. I am so pasta and anti-carb, that I go. For example, in my recipe, I went for potatoes instead of pasta or rice because I find their nutritional qualities to be so much better.
I found it interesting with his when you were talking to him about the quantities and whether he could define what the quantities were. It was interesting that he turned around and said that he couldn't. That he kind of goes by feel. He literally just, throws in what he feels is right for him. And I thought that was interesting.
Oh my God, that's how I cook. I cannot cook with a recipe. I cannot cook a straight recipe. I don't know where my measuring spoons are. I have a hard time finding my measuring cups. If it calls for green pepper, I'm just going to add 1 cut of green pepper, no matter what its size.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's fine for cooking. Not so much for baking, but if you're cooking, it doesn't really matter. I tend to do the same thing as Erin. I cook by just based on what I feel I need. If I'm lower energy that day, maybe I'll put a little more carby stuff in. If I know I'm gonna be hitting the gym really hard and lifting a lot of weights, more proteins during that time frame. I just kind of balance things out based on what I need. But that's something you do after you really get a sense of your body's needs and your dietary requirements. I wouldn't recommend just starting out that way because it's difficult to track. Maybe at the outset of a fitness journey, be a little more prescriptive about how you set your recipes up.
That's a good point. Erin's recipe, once I was since I'm familiar with his style of cooking, since that's how I cook, that's how my mom cooks, except she's a lot more out there than I am in terms of flavors. She can actually cook Indian food just by doing it, add a gazillion different spices and she comes up with a great Indian dish. That's a hard cuisine to get master. Erin's recipe ended up being 607 calories per portion. So it, very, very good, very healthy, and certainly nutritionally packed, with good nutrients in there. The next thing we had, which we've already spoken about a little bit, was Violet's green and white. What's green and white with the kale, chicken, coconut, and on the rice. That got easiest to cook, and could substitute with any kind of protein or veg. Newest, how do you say? Newest cooks, early cooks, beginner cooks. That's it. Beginning cooks.
Noob friendly.
Yes. I'll get the words right eventually. That got from Jeff and Erin, and it also got most CC fit friendly from Jeff and Erin, and most likely to cook on an easy Sunday evening after a CC fit walk. So and there's a lot of places you can go with this. I think this recipe, I think I mentioned it before too, last week, that you could, with that recipe, you can mix and match vegetables, take out some carbs. If, you wanted to kind of concentrate on the thing, you can cut the chicken in half and, put some flavoring on it, like maybe some chutney on it, just as but the key here, and this is the key with my recipe too, with any of the sauces and cheeses, portions. And that is the only reason why my recipe, because I did the portion controls. So that's how I got my recipe to be as low calorie as it is, which is the next one. let's see, just to go back, if I didn't say it, Violet's recipe, what's green and white, was 561 calories.
And the thing I liked about that recipe, I cook a lot, and this is a common meal for me: rice, veggies, and a protein. Very simple, straightforward, filling, packed with everything you need. I have never, in all my time cooking, that exact dish thought about putting coconut milk on it. I am stoked to try this now. So Violet, thank you. That is awesome. I can't wait.
Absolutely. And try the silk. When I was looking at the recipe, I was thinking those tin cans of light coconut milk. And I realized, you know what? The silk coconut milk in the refrigerator section, that's 35 calories a cup, is, a really, and they do a low fat one, an unsweetened one with almonds and cashews. That's been a staple of my diet forever. That would actually impart a lot of flavor too. And you could marinate the chicken in it, cook the kale in it, and cook the rice in it. Yeah. Too. So you get that whole flavor with the rice in the rice too, or maybe separate it out, something like that. Anyway, so let's see. I think I already went through that list. Okay, so the next one was mine, portion control. Portion control. As Jeff is like getting ready. You're getting ready. Go ahead. Come on.
No, I'm not getting ready to do anything. I am happy with every single recipe I saw here because people are throwing them out there. I love it. But what do you have to say about your recipe? Go ahead.
Well, Erin's comment was nice, is that it was nice to adjust and for a Super Bowl party. And your comment was that it was least CCI friendly. And both of those make sense. One of the things that you can do with this recipe, though, is to put it all on a baking tray. The potatoes, the cauliflower, and the Brussels sprouts, and just separate them out on a baking tray. Sprinkle some shredded cheese on top. Sprinkle it, figuring that there's going to be 4 portions in there. So maybe 8 ounces of cheese divided by 4 is 2 ounces per person, which is approximately, is moderate. And that gives you the taste of flavor with the Brussels sprouts and the potatoes and the cauliflower, which are all nutritional. So you just have to really be aware of what you're doing. And that's my thing. But for a Super Bowl meal, or when friends are coming over, as a vegetarian option to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because you need the protein. You need something that's going to stick to you. Otherwise it all kind of goes through. I mean, at least that's my. You're smiling. Go ahead.
No, I was like, that's a very polite way of putting it. It all just kind of goes through.
I was meaning in terms of energy fuel for the fire.
Sure. I got you.
Oh God, love you too. Moving on to the quintessential. Oh my God, Mark, your dish was lovely. That Sunday dinner. That I mean, risotto. And it came in with a calorie count for just the food of 350 calories. That was, the risotto. So you got that carb mixed in with the cauliflower. He did an amazing job with that.
The one thing I would say though is you have to be careful. Serving sizes are not all created equal. And I'm sure that the serving size of risotto there is probably smaller than most people would just naturally think it is. So when making dishes like this, you want to be aware of not taking a huge heaping bowl of it, because that'll probably end up being like 8 servings. And let me tell you something, risotto is one of my favorite things in the world. I cook it all the time. I have never, again, with risotto, never thought of putting beets or coconut milk in my risotto, and I'm really looking forward to trying this recipe. It's my wife's favorite thing for me to cook for her, so I'm going to give this a shot and see if she likes it. Recipe looked great.
Yeah, absolutely. And his presentation with the Infinity, he's come on the forum to say that it is Infinity Gems. To be specific, he has a couple of comments because last week we had a question about let's see, where did he go? Last week we had a question about whether or not it was Infinity Gems or stones, and it's definitely gems. And he said, baking or roasting? What's that? There's no difference. So he did have a comment about that. He's a very busy work guy. So my comment was that, wow, that's complicated. I'm not gonna do that. If I can't cook it I'm not.
In what? If you can't cook it in what? What's your time frame where you're like, that's it, I'm out? Where's your line that you draw in the sand?
About an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
You could do this in a half an hour.
Not with roasting all the little stone thingies.
Learn to multitask.
I am going to try. What I appreciated with his recipe is that we got a chance to try. He went through and explained to us how to make risotto by feel, as opposed to in your standard recipe format. So you could say, oh, when it makes that smell, and it's like, I know what you're talking about. That makes sense to me. And that's the problem when you're a cook like me and Erin are, of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oh, some of this would be really good in it, and you're off menu before you know it. Most likely to get in my belly.
Yes, I am most likely to eat the crap out of that. It looks amazing.
A huge bowl. In other words, you're the one that's going to eat it all.
Hey, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Sometimes you got to treat yourself. And if I'm going to treat myself, it's with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Erin said most likely to get cold as you take pictures for Instagram. Yep.
That's a valid comment.
Yep. Totally valid. I would, that was my problem with, I would dive into the food and realize I forgot to take pictures. And so you've got a lot of half-eaten dishes of mine. He did go ahead and make another suggestion, which was for desserts. Because you need a little bit of something sweet. One of the desserts, I'm just going to throw this out, it's not in the competition at all, is just some cut up fruits. And there's a yogurt, a toasted coconut yogurt from Dannon called Light and Fit. It's 80 calories a serving. And you throw one of those in there and you have fruit and a really light, low-fat yogurt. And it's a great little sweet without being heavy kind of thing. But he went ahead and suggested another dessert, which was fruits. It's not on this list here. It's cut up fruits, roasted, sort of marinated and brushed with butter, Grand Marnier, a little bit of seasoning. What else did he say? I'm trying to remember here off the top of my head, and that's not working out very well. Let's see, going to page 2. Let's see if I could find it. Well, just you know how it is with stuff. Erin, yours and my posts are too long. Let's see. Dessert was cinnamon apples and oranges. 2 for each serving. Cinnamon, honey, brown sugar, butter, maple syrup, and Grand Marnier. I would think that you could probably get away with either brown sugar or honeyman. The butter adds a nice richness to it. The Grand Marnier, what do you have to say? I mean, that just adds that whole level of flavor. But that's, if you brush it on just a little bit, it gives enough of the flavor to it. So it just kind of sweetens up the fruit a little bit, and roasted always makes a nice a nice little dessert, because you have to treat yourself well.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. If you're going to end up,
I noticed about this list, when I looked at all the entries here, one of the common things you hear when you're talking about eating healthy is people say it's boring or bland or tasteless. Every single one of these recipes, regardless of whose they are, how many calories they are or whatnot, none of them look bland to me. They all look tasty. There's variety of ingredients. It's not the same thing over and over and over again. I think that's amazing. And it proves the point that that's not the case. You can eat very flavorful foods while being healthy.
So for the awards, I think without a doubt, I think that we have to say that Mark gets the, shall we say, the Kaluthu prize package. Yes, absolutely. I'm calling on Leonard to bring up the Kaluthu prize. Oh yes, this is Mark's recipe here.
I'm getting there.
I know. It's on the first page.
Yeah.
Well, it's on one of the last posts that was made on there. I probably send those.
I've got it. Go on, keep going. You keep going.
Okay. And let's see. I didn't write a list down of all of my prize packages. Okay, I'm going to have to go back to
there is a lot of disorganization going on here, Alyssa. I'm very upset.
I know. Right, what can I say? So the Batman, we've got the next prize package is the two Batmans. We've got a Luke Crazy Batman and a Batman Dorbs with the trolls, and 2 lanyards and a pair of sunglasses. Who shall get that one? Does Chuck want that one?
It's not a case of what they want, it's what you feel that they deserve.
Well, yes. I hope Chuck likes Batman, because I'm gonna call that one.
It's free stuff. Everyone loves free stuff. Like that's what it boils down to. Give the people the free stuff you want to give them, and make Lenny jealous because he's getting none of them.
Right.
This is true.
So who shall get the My Little Pony?
Never mind. Lenny gets a prize. That's the one he gets.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm looking. No. I'm looking at these roasted cauliflower steaks with pesto and cheddar cheese.
Yes. Okay. The key with those guys is the pesto. You've got to make sure you got the pesto oil all over the cauliflower, and only use a little bit of cheese. Okay. Right. Back to the prizes. Okay, well, just you distracted me with food. What can you say? I'm getting hungry, guys. Come on. Yeah. Okay, back to food. Let's see. Violet. I wonder if Violet would like that. No. I have no clue. I don't know Violet. I don't know what said person likes. I wish I would like. I wish I knew. And Miss Kitty will get the so Violet will get the pony, and I feel that there needs to be more fanfare here. You're not selling these prizes. No, Alyssa, come on. You're just like, this person gets this person gets this. They should be excited. Violet, you get an awesome My Little Pony prize pack because your recipe kicked ass. Boom. Next. Thank you. I'm trying to find them on the forum so I can show them, and I need to. Yeah, come on. Bit of fanfare. I mean, drum roll. I'm not very good with the fanfare stuff. I'm not. I'm sorry. I suck at it. Okay, I'm getting you the direct post here to it. Okay. Okay, there it is. It's the last post in that thread. I would say so. Miss Kitty, for her peanut tofu bok choy with a side salad, gets the Guardians of the Galaxy. No, she's going to get the Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty and Creo with 2. I can't do it. I can't do it, guys. I try. I can't do it.
Miss Kitty, I mean, I know you got excited momentarily for Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you got the Charlie Brown football pull out from under you. Like, no!
Did get a rug pulled underneath you then.
Well, I had to, unfortunately, I disqualified Erin and myself because we're both voting in the challenge.
That makes complete sense. I disqualify Erin as well from pretty much everything, but that's just the way we do things.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now I'm looking on the thing to see what he responds to you with the chat box. Love Andrew English. Love the Charlie Brown reference. So Miss Kitty can have her choice of either the Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty or the Guardians of the Galaxy, the triple pack. It's entirely up to her which one she wants.
Very quickly, just to let you know, I have just heard word. Sorry, I'm just having a look on Facebook. Sorry about this. To interrupt, the Oscars, when they announced that, apparently what they're going to say is, Get Out, you can either win an Oscar or you can have a Golden Globe. Which would you prefer, an Oscar or a Golden Globe? You can you choose.
I think that's valid. I think that's a valid way to do award shows from now on. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is my first award show, guys. So, lighten up. At least I have good prizes. That's all I can say.
They are great prizes, by the way. They're fantastic.
Yes. I'm definitely in, and everybody gets lanyards, 2 lanyards. If you want more, let me know. They're all the green splatter ones, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones. And so absolutely. The first Mark's prize, just because I didn't go over that, I was a little bit hurried with that, is the Kaluthu New York Comic-Con pot, a Hellboy ceramic bank. I think it was from a Loot Crate. There was also a Loot Crate Dead Rising pencil saw blade, Red's 2 sunglasses, and a set of lanyards. Also, nice. So nice. That's his package. Chuck's package includes a little San Diego Comic-Con exclusive troll, the 2 Batmans, lanyards, and another set of glasses. Violet's package includes a Teenage Mutant Ninja package with some sunglasses and the toy. Plants 2 pin, the My Little Pony, a couple of little other fun, little minifig kind of things. So I think she'll have fun with that. It's just a package of little stuff. I think I pretty much went through everything else. Miss Kitty, I'll get with her and seeing which of the 2 packages she wants. Erin, of course, can take whatever package Miss Kitty doesn't want. And the free publicity for his vegetable challenge that he's going to be doing next week. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work, but he's basically doing a vegetable of the week. Where we all get together and cook a vegetable. You're not going to like the first one because I think it's Brussels sprouts, Jeff.
God damn it.
Sorry. The second week, though, is kale.
God damn it. I'm not a fan of the kale either. My 2 least favorite vegetables. Erin, I think you're profiling me and I don't appreciate it, sir. This is ridiculous.
Well, maybe they'll come up with some way. Maybe we'll come up with some ways that you can cook kale and Brussels sprouts that you like. Like if you put enough good Parmesan cheese,
there's a challenge.
Listen, really yes, good. If you put enough cheese on anything, it tastes good. We all know this. That's not what we're doing this for. No, I have some great Brussels sprout recipes because it's one of my wife's favorite vegetables. So I make it for her and just pinch my nose the entire time so I don't have to smell it.
I understand, but cook them enough. Pan fry them and cook them enough. Yeah, so fried in oil and cheese.
Jesus Christ.
Well, is there just like, well, I was going to ask this actually because I know we've been talking about frying a number of the items, including you've just saying there. You're saying frying in oil. Is there any alternatives? I mean, I'm just seeing Jeff's face cringe there. Is there any alternatives to frying in oil?
There's two things, and I'll let Jeff talk. One is that spray oil. I use that a lot. That gives a good coating. And one of the other things, and no, I'm going to skip that. Jeff.
Oh, I mean, to get the fried effect without frying, especially for leafy vegetables, whether it's kale or Brussels sprouts or anything else like that, that are small and thin, just a light brushing of olive oil and baking them at a high enough temperature gets you that same sort of crispy fried flavor and texture without drowning them in oil and actually frying them.
That's interesting. Okay.
Let's see. Erin, just to go back, says corn, baby bok choy, sweet potatoes, and then eggplant. I thought that was for February. I'm confused. I'm not sure. Erin, clarify. Let's see. Chuck Cook says roast your sprouts and with Vietnamese fish sauce. Put some a good quality Vietnamese fish sauce on them.
I don't know who the Chuck guy is, but I like everything he's saying.
Yeah.
He's a top guy. He's a top bloke.
I actually, there is a difference between Vietnamese fish sauces. If you're not familiar with them, go for the darker ones. They're usually a better quality. Karen, let's see. Andrew English says, cook your Brussels sprouts and kale so they're burnt crisp, and then throw them in the bin. That's for you, Jeff.
Yes. There's a lot of great advice happening. I appreciate this.
That list that I gave you from Erin was for those are the February vegetables. So, and I guess we're in January. Oh, so no Brussels sprouts. Oh, okay. So we're doing corn. Jeez. Okay. I could do corn.
Which isn't a vegetable.
So corn.
We won't get into that.
So did you pay him out? You paid Erin, didn't you? I just got that.
I sent him a threatening tweet.
That's cool. Okay, so the first week vegetable is corn. That's what we're on, Erin, just to confirm that with me. So now that we've eaten, go work that off.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I want to try and do is tie this back into the whole the fitness thing, but also the attending conventions, because at the end of the day, it is all about making your convention better and about what is required of a body when attending a convention. I think we've talked about this on previous episodes, that it's very much about the cardio, but it's also very much about legs, back. I mean, because obviously you're carrying a rucksack or a backpack around. What do you see as going into a convention is someone's best priorities when it comes to staying fit?
I mean, without going over stuff we've already gone over in the past, which is really do a lot of walking, have comfortable shoes, have a well-distributed backpack if you are someone who gets a lot of collectibles and exclusives, and then you're going to be carrying them around. You don't want to have a poorly constructed backpack that's hanging off one shoulder, which is going to cause you distress and discomfort all day. You know, have the appropriate gear essentially to get through your convention. Be a little smart, a little planning, do the walking up front. But honestly, and you mentioned it, you know, the back. One thing that we haven't really talked a lot about is core strength. When you are walking a lot and you're carrying heavy things, it can wear down on you if your abdominal muscles and your lower back aren't strong enough to support all that stuff hanging off of your shoulders.
I can guarantee there's enough people watching this that have gone to a convention, slung the backpack over the back, and then they've sort of gotten back to wherever they're staying that evening and just just absolutely wrecked.
It's not great if you're not used to carrying stuff around all the time. I mean, 5-10 pounds doesn't sound like much, but over an 8-hour day of walking around, that will really wear you down. My biggest advice to people right now, and I tend to go in waves, you know, I've been seeing so many people really embracing the cardio aspect of the Comic-Con Fit. A lot of treadmills, a lot of biking, a lot of walking, and that is fantastic. But here's what I will say: no matter how much walking you do, no matter how much bike riding you do, no matter how much ellipticals you do, it isn't going to help you build those core muscles. And we got to start lifting some weights, people.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I was a big fan of just doing cardio and control and portion control for my weight loss, and added a bit of the, not necessarily weightlifting, but a series of 20 of about 12 exercises that I worked with my PT lady on, which did a full body. You know, a little bit on the shoulders, you know, the 3 sets of abdominal muscles, you know, all of my legs, because my
Sure.
knees need strengthening, you know, and all of those planking was involved, all of those types of things, which is a great exercise. So you don't have to do the gym, but
Right.
it seemed like about 12 exercises, 2 reps of, you know, I mean, for somebody who's in poor physical shape, 2 reps of 15 for those 12 exercises.
I mean, that was going to be one of my next questions. For somebody who's starting with what, a week out from 6 months, where would someone starting now? What kind of pace would you be? I mean, I can't imagine anyone sensibly would just suggest just going hell for leather at this point. Just to kind of develop some kind of core, surely.
Frequency should be consistent. Intensity should ramp up. So what I mean by that is, even if you're a beginner, you should be doing something at least 3 times a week. You want to build a habit and a schedule so it becomes ingrained as part of your life. Now, what you're doing those 3 times a week, you want to start small, but you want to condition yourself mentally to know that at least 3 times a week you have set aside 30 minutes to an hour for exercise.
That was the next question.
Whatever it is. Now, if you've never set foot in a gym, if you have been allergic to sports and athletic activities your entire life and you're starting out, you're right. You don't want to just go in the gym and start banging on some weights. You're going to feel like crap, potentially hurt yourself, and more than likely just say, screw it, and drop the mic and walk off, say, this isn't for me. So you definitely want to start small. I'm a big fan of body weight exercises for beginners. Things like push-ups, squats without weights, lunges without weights. You know, planking, as Alyssa mentioned, great exercise for your core. There's a lot of things you can do. It's simple jumping jacks, you know, things you did in grade school.
Well, I was also going to turn around and say stuff that you don't have to go to a gym to do.
No.
Sure.
No, you don't. The exercises that I did were, one was just pressing up against the wall and leaning in.
Yeah, assisted push-ups.
Yeah, it's a modified version of push-ups, planking, a version of sit-ups that wasn't. It's you know, more just leaning back as far back as you can and moving forward.
Sure.
There's a leg lifts, all, you know, so front. Yeah. Back. Yep. I mean, and if you add a little bit of weight to it, you do it 3 times a week until your muscles start burning, and put it down, you know, and you do that 30 minutes every other day. That's that. As long as you're using resistance, and I'll try and post my list, but a list of, Jeff, do you have a list of exercises that people can do that are not that are knee friendly? Because I know a lot of us have got knee exercises. Andrew English is saying, what's the best exercise for core? I'm doing treadmill and rowing. Chuck Pook. So
yeah. Here's what I would say. So if you're looking for body weight exercises, I do have a series of articles on my website. You can go ahead and just search for Nerd Core Fitness 101. It's a series of 3 workouts you can do, very simple. There's also a 102 If you're a little more advanced, they're all body weight things you can do at home. In terms of knee friendly, any exercise, the key to the knees and shoulders is proper form. So a lot of exercises, people think, man, that's not good for your knee, or that hurts my knee. It's probably because you're doing it wrong.
I'm going to interrupt you there because you have one of your exercises is knee lunges, and that one I am scared about doing.
Look, if you're scared about doing something, never do it without help from a personal trainer. And I wanted to segue for a minute. So Lenny, you were saying about doing stuff at home and not even needing to go to the gym. One thing I want to say is anytime you embark on a fitness journey, whatever it is, you have to be honest with yourself. Whether you're starting for the first time, you've relapsed and you're starting over, be honest with yourself and know if you are the type of person that needs an environment consistent to help you work out. A lot of people, when they start working out at home, their motivation lags. There's too many distractions. They put things to the side. If you're the type of person that needs accountability, don't be afraid to go to the gym. It's not a scary place. Okay. Get a personal trainer if you need it. Get an accountability buddy. Work with a partner, someone, a friend of yours that wants to do the same thing, and go to the gym together. Make it like a friend date where you do it consistently so that you have some level of accountability and you're not apt to go, yeah, I know I should work out, but man, oh, that episode of Supernatural I've watched 30 times is back on the TV. Maybe I should throw that on instead, you know. But some people really, you know, maybe you have social anxiety, then working out at home is for you. You just kind of have to balance that out and figure it out for yourself. But if you are going to a gym and there are exercises you want to do you're not sure of, or you have an injury, that's why you book a couple personal trainer sessions.
Which is where I was going to quickly be a little bit selfish and kind of bring this on, because at the end of the day, this thing comes off on Friday.
Nice.
Goodness, thank God. But then, of course, the hard work starts, and that's when physio kicks in. At the end of the day, it's going to be hard for me to do any kind of push-ups. It's going to be hard for me to do any kind of work when it comes to the wrist. What would you reckon? Is it going to be sit-ups? Is it? I mean, where would I start? Because at the end of the day, you're talking weights, and that's going to prove awkward.
That is going to prove a little awkward at first. So you are going to go see a physio?
Yeah, physio is going to be assigned to me by the NHS, because the NHS rocks. Yes, it all gets sorted out by probably Dewsbury Hospital or wherever I'll get sent. But yeah, it's a case of I think the cast comes off on Friday, and then I presume I'll be given a physio date and then go to have a chat with them.
Anytime there's an injury involved. So for instance, my shoulder is pretty messed up right now. So I've had to modify my gym routine.
Yeah. The reason why I brought this up, because I'm certain that there's a number of people who are watching this who perhaps have issues. Yeah. So
especially in the winter, people fall down, they slip on ice, they injure themselves. It's very common.
Well, even recurring injuries. So I think training with injury, then, if we can kind of cover that.
Well, you're going to get, first off, a series of exercises to rebuild the strength, you know, in your wrist and forearm, which have obviously atrophied while they've been in the cast. That's very common. But I would never let an injury like that stop me from exercising. You just have to modify. So one of the topics actually we talked in the last episode of the Geek Fitness Matters podcast was training with an injury, specifically about my shoulder, and how my whole life I have been more upper body strong than lower body. I have what a lot of people commonly refer to as chicken legs, you know, affectionately, of course. So I have now taken the cue that my shoulder is messed up. I can't do a lot of weightlifting, upper body at all, because the shoulder is involved in so many lifts, that now is the time that I'm just focusing on my lower body. I'm doing a lot of squatting. I'm doing a lot of lunges. I'm doing a lot of deadlifts. I'm doing a lot of leg curls. I'm just changing what I'm doing based on my injury. So, I mean, never let an injury take you completely out of the game is what I'm saying. You just have to modify and work around it. So Lenny, for you, I would be, if it was me, and I was really committed to getting in shape, man, I'd be lifting a ton of lower body weight, you know, a lot of that. And of course your core, and there will be certain exercises you can do upper body, depending on the angle that you're holding your wrist. And your physio will help you out with that, you know, kind of explain to you when you lock your wrist in certain directions, you probably will be fine. So I would just keep it super light on the upper body, man. I'd be squatting and deadlifting like a fool for the next couple months.
You can still plank.
Scott and me and not not friends, but we'll do something.
Well, there was what he's saying is what I was talking about, in that I've got problems with my knees, one of my knees. So we worked out a series of leg lifts that strengthen all of the muscles around the upper part of my knee. And after doing those for 2 months, I don't have knee problems anymore. You know, and that's the key. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a minor thing. It's not a major thing. But when you actually strengthen the muscles around, you know, your problem, then those problems tend to go away. These are I'm going to hold this up. These are the exercises that I do, which are I don't, you know, they're in my chicken scratches. So, and this is my cheat sheet, you know, and it's that simple. You know, I had to do.
Right. This is either an exercise cheat sheet or the way that we're going to find the lost ark. It's one of the things.
I was thinking the Stargate opens if you align those correctly.
Well, I'll post a picture of it on the chat thread too. But what it is it's a way to remind myself to do those 12 exercises. You know, and basically how, you know, the finer points of what I have to do, you know, as opposed to going through the list and going to a gym and remembering how much weight you had and this and that. And I can't, that's just beyond me. I can't. I'm too ADD for that.
We've got a question on the Q&A, which I think is an excellent question. This is from Leanne D. Wondering what Jeff recommends for someone in a wheelchair. She has tons of pain. Chuck has suggested that perhaps, are you able to swim? Do you have access to a pool that can accommodate you in getting in and out? She's replied, I can, but both pools close to me have closed. She's looking for a new place. Any suggestions?
Well, swimming would have been exactly where I went first. While not the best in terms of long-term muscle fitness, it is excellent cardio work. Honestly, if I could ask a follow-up question back to chat, I mean, you say there's a lot of pain. Is that all over or is it localized?
Good question.
Would be my question.
We'll see what, Leanne, if you could get back to us on that one, that'd be great. Any follow-up, Alyssa?
You know, I don't have any because it's something that I don't understand. You know, I
think that's the key. A lot of people don't understand what they need to do now. I mean, it's great that we've been getting some tips about timings and about how, you know, 3 times a week I think is manageable. I think half an hour, that rep I think is manageable. And I think is that something that you would remain consistent, or
yes,
no,
absolutely.
No, hang on, let me finish. Are we talking 3 times a week consistently up to, say, for example, a convention, or would you be looking at, say, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, moving up to 5 times a week? Or is that 3 times a week? Listen, something that would be consistent?
3 times a week is the minimum. Okay. Minimum 37 pieces of flair. Okay. If you want to, if you would like to demonstrate your personal individuality, more than that, I recommend it. No, here's the thing. 3 times a week is I would say the minimum to really get any benefit, long-term benefit out of exercising that you can see. Of course, even if you work out once a week, that's better than nothing. You're not going to see or notice the changes though. If you're looking for something noticeable, minimum 3 times a week. Bumping up to 4 or 5 times a week, that's dependent on you. Some people really like exercising. There's nothing wrong with exercising 5 times a week. I love it. I think it's great. Some people don't. But here's what I want to say. I want to go back a moment. And I'm going to key in on your choice of words, sir, where you said, I think 3 times a week for half an hour is manageable. You think? Really? An hour and a half for your personal health may be manageable. What? Come on, man.
Okay, that's okay. Maybe my choice of words. Right.
Well, I'm using this to illustrate a point where very often when I speak to people, there's a lot of hesitation. You know, well, I think maybe I can do it. I don't know. That's a lot of commitment. Yada, yada, yada. Look, you have one body. It's it. It's all you got, right? Until Boston Dynamics creates more cybernetic parts for people. This is all we have. So setting aside 2 to 3 hours a week is nothing in the grand scheme of things in order to keep yourself going as best you can. Look, we are all nerds, okay? I consume more nerd shit than I care to admit, okay? And my poor wallet. Anyway, listen, when you want to consume stuff, I mean, think about it this way. There's now going to be a Star Wars movie coming out every year till we die. So I am willing to commit to 3 hours a week to keep my body going another 10 years so that I get 10 more Star Wars movies. Imagine how many Marvel movies, DC movies, the new Image stuff that's now being translated in movies, TV shows, Star Wars stuff, Star Trek stuff that you get to consume in those extra years you add to your life by taking 3 hours a week. When I put it that way, tell me that you don't agree with me, Lenny.
I agree with you entirely. Absolutely.
Goddamn right you do.
Damn right. To quickly go back to the Q&A, this is back to Leanne's point. She is specifying as you required. It's localized T9 area from the collapse of spine. She gets some joint pain too, but not as much.
So
it's spine.
Without listen, I'm not a medical professional. I recommend visiting, if you're interested, visit a gym, get a physical trainer. Even better, a occupational physical therapist would probably be where I would start to get some tips. Now, that being said, there are a lot of upper body-ish exercises that don't use the spine and don't use the legs that can be good for cardio. If your local gym has things like hand bikes, which I know a lot of physios use, which is basically pedals on a bike that you can add resistance for your arms. Things like battle ropes, which use the shoulders, the chest, and the arms, can hit cardio and build muscle at the same time. I think those are the sorts of things that you probably would look at, but definitely go see an occupational therapist. Get some tips.
With what I did was because of my knee that took me in to see my doctor. It was that painful. She prescribed PT, physical therapy, and I got 12 lessons. I got 12 sessions per event, and that was enough to get that list of exercises that gave me a way to go forward. And given your situation, Leanne, I cannot see why you don't already have this. I mean, this, you should have been offered PT to help you work with, within your limitations and get you feeling stronger. I think that's absolutely, that she was invaluable, the lady who helped me. To get back to what Leonard said, and we'll get back to Leanne in a moment. Leonard, do it first thing in the morning, because that way it will be done with you. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Just get up and do it.
Okay.
Just
I'm taking all of this on board.
Yeah, just I mean, and I know it's so Nike saying to just do it, but you just, before you talk yourself out of it, just do it. So, I mean, I think
I've already kind of set up a morning routine, which is kind of, I'm doing at the moment, I'm trying to do crunches. I am trying to do one or two, so like just moving the knees and just moving around. Is where I am at the moment. Actually going for a walk is a little bit awkward because of timings and stuff. Leonard, get that bike out again. Forget about the weather. I'd love to, but the bike needs servicing, so I can't afford that just yet. Bear with me. I'm trying to do stuff which don't involve accoutrements.
There's a lot of stuff you can do, and especially if you want to work on your core. You know, you can do leg raises, scissor kicks, crunches, like you mentioned, planks, Russian twists. There's a million non gym oriented exercises that need nothing but your own body weight to do that can get you where you want to be, man.
Planks will be the next thing once this thing's gone.
You can do planks with that.
Planks are on the elbows.
Hard is this?
Planks are on the elbows. Planks are on the elbows.
Oh man, almighty! Honestly, this
no sympathy.
This
Where?
thing,
you know what
so
this
awkward.
is?
It's so, it's so awkward, this thing.
Okay, this is universal, right?
Goodness, God, the British are whiny.
Have you seen our political system? Yeah, we can complain.
I don't want to talk about politics.
If people want, I will go through this list and further explain my chicken scratches so people can understand.
Well, I'll put that back up on screen.
Well, no. Okay, right now, sure. The first one. The first one in the upper, as you're looking at it, the upper left-hand corner is pushing up against the wall. The second one, which is right under the word modify, is basically sitting on a bed with your being able to see your toes and standing up. The third one is on your back, slightly leaning most all the way back, moving like a 2-pound weight, like a 2-pound can of, a couple pounds of like that from one side touching the floor to the other side. So you're working your lateral muscles in your tummy. The second one is to do leg lifts, just straight. The one that's laying on your back and you're just doing straight leg lifts, only to about a foot or so up off of the floor. The one that says tummy in the upper left-hand side is laying on your tummy and lifting your legs up straight behind you. That's a little bit harder, so you're working the back side of your muscles.
Okay.
And then you've got the one to the right with it says E and V. That basically is you've got a chair and you've got your feet and your calves on that chair, and you're with one calf on the chair, you're straightening your other leg out and pushing your butt up.
I'm waiting on any kind of comments from Jeff at this point. No, he's okay with them.
I'm waiting for the Stargate to open.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sorry. And then there's one that says that I'm laying down on the back, and it says tummy with my hands in the back. You're laying on your tummy when you get your hands in the back, and your feet are underneath something that is going to keep them secure. And you're working that one, it works your lower back. So you got to be careful about that one because you don't want to pull a muscle back there. But that really gives you that lower back strength, and you're arching your back up. So it contracts the lower back muscles. Then there's one on the bottom in the center that has, you've got your feet, you're on a curb, and you're doing calf raises, and 20 of just do 20 of those. You can do, I've seen people do them like with their feet out, their feet in. Calf raises are one of those things that you can do anywhere. And it's just, do 20 of them easy. And then the last one is to do those kind of modified sit-ups that we were talking about, where you lean real far back and forward. That, and then planking on your elbows.
Okay.
You don't have to plank with your wrists. So you can do this, Leonard.
Fair enough. Okay. There's some good exercises there.
Jeff, does that cover?
I think that's a great start. That is definitely good stuff. That if you were just brand new starting out, I don't see anything there that anyone can't do. I mean, obviously injuries aside and things like that, but even people with casts on their arms should be able to handle stuff like that.
Fair enough. Okay. The one other question that I wanted to ask. Because I'm talking about leading up to San Diego Comic-Con, because that's kind of the hangout is geared around. However, conventions are starting now, and people are obviously leading into actually attending conventions. I think I've asked this a question before, but I can't quite remember what your advice was in terms of exercising during a convention, because we all say stay at a hotel with a gym down there, and after a full day at a convention, more often than not, people are either wanting to socialize or they're just wanting to sleep or whatever.
Sure.
Is it important to do any kind of exercise during the convention, or is the convention enough?
That is 100% dependent on your goals. I don't think anyone who is literally just doing enough to be fit for a convention needs to be working out during the convention, because you're going to be walking and carrying stuff all day. Me personally, I like working out at the convention and it's an odd phenomenon. You would think that I would be more tired because I work out, but I get up in the morning and I work out before you hit the convention center. And I find that if I do that, I have more energy during the day, and the walking doesn't wear on me as much. Now, I'm not saying that would be the same for everyone, but sometimes it can be a little counterintuitive. I look at it in terms of, if I go to the gym in the morning before I hit the convention center, it's like warming up the car before I take it out for a drive. It just seems to flow better. But honestly, if you're just getting fit enough to hang out at the convention and feel good about yourself, you don't need to be working out during the convention.
I am thinking, and would formally invite everybody who's watching and yourself to do, I think either on Tuesday or Wednesday morning prior to the convention, I'd like to get a bunch of group people together, 9 a.m. or so, and walk around the convention center, maybe up to the Hyatt, and do a nice, do a nice little lap and see how everything is going Tuesday morning. I think that would be, take pictures, live tweet, social media, maybe do a live report, all of that. So
the Erins special. Gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I invited him already, but he was, he had other things to do. So what can I say? Yeah, I know, exactly. So, but Tuesday morning, if folks are around, I'm going to do it, and I'll probably try and live do it. And I'll try and get Leonard out there with me too.
I will try and do that.
Okay. So much trying with you. There's not enough doing. Go back and watch Star Wars.
I will be there. I will be there on Tuesday morning.
Thank you.
Okay.
I love those big blue eyes when he's promised.
Yes, is that right? Is that right? Andrew English at a convention uses stairs instead of lifts and escalators.
Oh, no. No way. No way. No, well, not going to do it.
I mean, if your knees bother you, stairs might not be the best thing. I get it. But but stairs generally, always stairs, never escalators, if I can ever help it.
Yeah, always. Except at conventions. Then it's always escalators.
Fair enough. Okay. Anything else that we can talk about just to wrap things up? I think
So
we've
what about-
we've covered so much.
I'm going to say snubbing Wonder Woman at the Academy Awards.
What snub?
She didn't get anything.
Right. Because the movie was horrible in the third act. The beginning was so beautiful. And then it was a floating ring of garbage in the sky and a CGI mess for the last act. It is a good movie. It's not an Oscar-worthy movie. Come on, nerds. I get it. We all loved it, but it is not an Oscar-worthy movie. Come on.
It
really.
Special effects? Come on.
No. It was a Zack Snyder CGI mess. What special effects should have won? Ah, phooey. Love the movie. Don't get me wrong, but Oscar, come on.
I think the problem that Wonder Woman had this year is that it's up against a year which has been the strongest for films we've seen in a long time.
Long time.
So, yeah, I do think perhaps it could have deserved costume design. I think, yeah, FX was a stretch. Like you say, back end. Best film, not a chance. Not that. I think that there was a very good point by Collider, however, which was almost deliberate, in that typically for the Best Picture nominations, there are 10 films that are nominated. This year there were 9, which means a seat was left empty almost deliberately. You know, it's almost like we could have invited you, but we're not gonna. You know, it's almost for a number of films there was a lot of things like that. At the end of the day, for a lot of us, we are just going to have to return back to the fact that Suicide Squad was nominated for an Oscar and Wonder Woman never was.
Look, yeah, it was nominated for the makeup. That's not. Come on, I mean. We should be happy as nerds that Logan is nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yes, sure.
Rightfully deserved. And honestly, if you're going to take the two and say which one would be Best Picture worthy, it's Logan. It's not Wonder Woman. And I don't think Logan's Best Picture worthy either. I mean, it's still got its problems compared to, like Lenny said, man, this year is so strong. So many amazing movies. And while the social relevance of Wonder Woman is important,
undeniable,
super important, social relevance is not a category that we're judging Oscar-worthy movies on. That's
correct.
Not what it's for.
I think also, while a lot of people can look at Oscars, I mean, you can look at Oscars for 2 reasons or 2 ways. Number one is recognizing excellence. That's fine. Another one is shining a light on films which perhaps haven't had a light shone on them. And we have seen that when they have won an Academy Award, their box office can improve. At the end of the day, films like Star Wars, Wonder Woman, Logan, all of our genre films, they've done all right. Thank you very much indeed. They've made bank, man. It's not like we're not going to see Wonder Woman 2 anytime soon. We're going to see that film. It's still coming. Yeah. So there we go. But Alyssa obviously feels that Gal Gadot
disagrees with us.
Gal Gadot deserves Best Academy Award for Actress.
It's a hot button topic for me. I mean, I'm gonna just go right out there and say it is, because I think that we've got some inroads that can be made now, because I think people are listening and understanding, the disparities between the 2 sexes. And I think that Wonder Woman led into that. But as you've got a valid point, Jeff, and I totally agree with it, that you can't do social relevance.
I mean, there's other awards that really kind of lean in there. The Golden Globes, the SAG Awards. There's other award shows that will lean a little more in that. The Oscars have always been very classical approach to how they make their awards.
It's also one of we've also got to remember who's behind the Oscars. With the SAG, it is a industry awards setup. With Golden Globes, it's
foreign press,
the International Foreign Press. With the Oscars, it's the people who have won and been nominated in the past. It's the industry.
Yeah.
So it's not us. It's not the fans. And at the end of the day, we've already given our award. It was $14 at the counter. so that was our reward. We showed up and we gave them money. So I think they were quite happy with that.
Mark Serby has chimed in. Our sometimes
he's joining us. He's joining us to talk Oscars next week. So yeah,
good. His point is Gail Gadot is not even in the same league as McDormand's performance in Three Billboards.
I've still got to see that film, man.
Same here, and The Shape of Water was also brought up. Those are two films that are definitely on my. And Logan, that was the one DVD that I bought this holiday season was Logan. You know,
I mean, the one thing you can say is in a weaker year, there might have been a chance, but just not this year. I mean, if it would have come out against Suicide Squad, maybe we'd be saying, you know, Wonder Woman's the only, you know, movie to get an Oscar. But this year it's just not gonna. No.
Speaking of shows that have really kind of done, you know, that I've been really surprised about, and I know Leonard is like, you're going to love this one. Have you had Jeff? Have you had a chance to catch Happy on the Sci-Fi Channel?
I haven't. Here's the thing. I've known I want to watch this show since I heard it was announced. My wife is watching it and she keeps looking at me going, dude, this show is made for you. You have to watch it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to let it accumulate and I'm just going to binge it at this point.
Okay. Well, this week is they're wrapping up their season this week. And it's
a really short season.
I think 8 to 10 episodes. Kind of thing. That's what the Sci-Fi Channel usually does. Anyway, they're wrapping it up, so it's their first season finale. So get ready to binge it, because but that also leads us into something that Leonard said before, which is longing for episodic television. And I've been really kind of glad that I've been watching Happy on. You know, and giving it some space to percolate in the brain between the episodes. So you may not want to binge the whole thing. Otherwise, you're going to be a little neurotic.
Well, I already am. It's fine.
I'll tell you something. It's the reason why I'm really looking forward to Legion coming back as an episodic show. I watched the first two episodes of Legion. And the thing about the first episode of Legion is it puts you in the mind of a schizophrenic. It throws you seriously for a loop. If I had a binge watched Legion, you'd be finding me in a rubber room right now. It would be that is. So I absolutely am of the opinion of. I like episodic television. I like episodes.
There's a lot to be said for when as a culture, as a consumer culture of entertainment, we've kind of lost one of the cool aspects of TV, I think, which is the ability to discuss.
The water cooler moment.
Yeah, because everyone binges at different rates, so you never know who's on what episode, and it makes it very difficult to come together as a group and theorize and talk and chat about these things. I know, but unfortunately, I'm the type of person that if I get behind a week or two on a show, which I did with Happy, I'm not going to go back and just watch a couple episodes and catch up. I tend to either I start from the beginning and watch it, or I binge it. And really, I only have a couple shows I have time to watch as they occur in live, in a live format.
Yeah.
Because I'm prioritizing my time and going to the gym and doing other things, Lenny.
nicely put around there. So nicely done. We've got Angela Copley who sent around and said, I binge watched the first 2 seasons of Hannibal. That was brutal. I can probably get that. I can understand that. Fair enough. Okay. Excellent stuff. George, shall we talk about what's
no, it's not enough.
Okay.
Just said. Would Lost have been as would we have talked about Lost as much if we didn't watch it episodically? Just as as a point of fact. So to go on about week in television, I'll leave that thought with people. It is extremely interesting to me that on Tuesday night, we have a Netflix special. This is a German show. This is not so much geeky, but it's a German show called Babylon Berlin. It's gotten a lot of good press in Germany. Netflix is doing. They're bringing over 2 seasons of it. It's based on a book. A lot of great publicity on this series. It's about pre-Hitler Germany. That's on the same night as the State of the Union address is on.
How will you know which is which?
You know, you got it. You got it. This is like, I had to point this out to people so that they just kind of understand. Somebody at Netflix really has got the sense of humor going. I love it. So that's a show to keep your eyes out for, and of course the other big one, which Leonard is really looking forward to, Altered Carbon on Netflix.
I've had a little bit of a knockback perhaps to that one, because I have seen the Empire review. I kind of glanced over that, saying that there are 1 or 2 issues, certainly in terms of performance, but in the way it looks, I'm you know, at the end of the day, I will take that. I'll put it into the background. I'll watch it, and because at the end of the day, it looks like the closest thing to a Philip K. Dick series that we've had in a long time, and I'm down with anything that could be in that kind of ballpark. To be honest, though, I'm kind of dialing back on television for a couple of days, because I'm going to read Ursula K. Le Guin books for the next 6 days.
Nice.
Because obviously we lost a giant this week. If you have not read Earthsea, if you've not read any of the short stories that she did over her career, I would heartily recommend it. It will be not only that, but they're really short. I mean, Earthsea, I mean, they're like 200-page short stories at the end of the day. You can do those really quickly, and they are so rewarding, because her use of language and her use of evoking an atmosphere was just phenomenal. I've been a fan of hers from a very young age, and people, I would recommend. You may have seen enough of people talking about Ursula K. Le Guin on social media, but if you've not read her, do it this week. Give it a go.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
The only other thing, we've got AP Bio, which is a new TV show that's coming out this week. That's pretty much it. A couple of other things. Take a look at on the blog. We just published our Next Week in Television. It'll give you the rundown. It's all going to be about Super Bowl and Super Bowl commercials. That's going to be the big thing that's happening. I'm hoping that it's not as crappy for commercials this year as it was last year. But you know, Erin's idea about the cauliflower cheese cauliflower thing might be a good food prep for Super Bowl Sunday. So that's it for me in Week in Television.
Excellent stuff.
Thank you, Jeff, for coming on today. It was really appreciate your pushing on me to do better with my presentation.
Listen, I think you did great. I think the recipes are great. I think the community is great. I think Lenny's backdrop is great. I think everything is great, essentially. So just a lot of greatness happening right here.
Endorphin high.
I'm just going to say the mushrooms are kicking in.
Start stroking my screen.
Excellent stuff. Jeff, thank you so much indeed for coming along. I am very quickly going to do one last screen share, and I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to show everybody thejerd.com. Do go to this website, because it really is a cracking piece of work. It's the brainchild of the man that we've had on today, and it really does give some really great practical advice on how to stay fit, how to prepare, and like the man says, just feel better about yourself. Right there, it says it right there on the homepage. Jeff, where else can people find you online, sir? You
can find me on Twitter at the Mighty Jerd. You can find me on Facebook at the Mighty Jerd. And if you're interested in the Geek Fitness Matters podcast, you can also find us on Twitter at the GFM podcast.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Alyssa, where can people find you online?
They can find me on my Twitter at Friends of CCI. I'm going to try and put up, and you can also find me on the forum. I am going to put up a picture of that those exercises that I did. And
are you going to redraw them?
No,
you don't touch perfection like that, sir.
Yeah, these are just from my own memory. Now I've lost the piece of paper. You know, it's that's just so that, you know, it's my cheat sheet. And I will get this week's chat on to the forum too, so people can go back if there are any interesting links. So the chat is going to be put up on the forum today also, and that is, you can find both the blog and the forum on friendsofcc.com.
Excellent stuff. Just to let you know, I'm also going to be presenting some exercises as well. I'm also going to be, if you can just see that, that is the map to One-Eyed Willie's Treasure, if you want to try and find that in the next week or so. Right, thank you very much indeed. My name is Milan Sultani. You can find me on the social medias, Englishman SDCC, of course, and you can keep an eye on what we get up to on the various social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And of course, you can keep up to date on anenglishmaninsandiego.com. If you would like to support the Hangout and all we do on the podcast, please do go to patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC. This week, I was incredibly lucky and a little bit humbled, actually, to get the chance to interview Chris Claremont, who is the legendary writer of pretty much every decent X-Men story ever. He's basically got a documentary that's coming out, which has been part of Sequart, which is a nerd pop culture kind of high-end examination organization. They did this documentary. I think it was released about 8-9 months ago, and it's now coming to video on demand. And off the back of that, I was able to speak to Chris. Fascinating guy. I spoke to him about the women editors in his work. Spoke to him about the challenges of getting the stories done, about how he was removed from duty, as it were, and the bitterness behind all of that. It's a cracking documentary. It's also it was a great chat with him as well. The chat is going to go live on the iTunes and SoundCloud channel on Wednesday, Thursday. It's available for the Patreon supporters right now. I've been getting some pretty good reviews of it, actually. So even if you just want to throw a couple of dollars in there just to kind of listen to it, I had a great time, and I think you will too, for an 18-minute chat with Chris Claremont. So there you go. That's patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC. Take care. Next week, Mark Serby returns. So we're going to be talking Oscars. We're going to hopefully be talking some other bits and pieces as we get ready for Nerdpocalypse, which is just around the corner. So we're going to do all of that next week. But from us to you, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you soon.